Alright, so finally I'm doing my second Steven Universe Q&A. And as always, if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means it was either marked as spam or YouTube didn't even have it on here, so I do apologize for that. So, let's get started with King Nazru, who asks, I saw in DeviantArt that people are pairing Pearl with Melina. What are your thoughts? Why? And it's not because, oh, it's woman and woman. It's no. If you guys know me, I ship Korosami and several other same-sex pairings. It's not that at all. What it is that their personalities just don't mix. Melina is this savage, psychotic creature, and Pearl's this very calm, very logical kind of person. Why would you put those two together out of curiosity? Why? I mean, I know opposites attract, but I understand, opposites attract, like I said, but, that's a little too opposite if you ask me. That is just a little too opposite if you ask me. Anyway, so, what was I saying? So I'm confused. Anyway, second question. Do you think the crystal gems reproduce like us, or do they have another way? Well, Pearl said that they are created from, like, it's kind of alluded to, they're created in kindergartens, and they're not reproduced the same way you or me are created, and, Rose died from, creating Steven. So obviously not. And so, they kind of answer in the show that it looks like most gems are created in kindergartens, or, created on Homeworld. How they're created on Homeworld is still a mystery. But anyway. Third question. Do you think Amethyst would get along with good Majin Buu? Yeah, probably. I could just see them sitting on the couch eating snacks. Mountains of snacks. Anyway. Thank you for those questions, King Nazru. Moving on now to Tanuki Toad 979, whose first question is, how would Steven and the Gems react to the Mario Brothers, Mega Man, Sonic, you, Mr. Deadpoolzilla, Dipper Mabel, and Ness from Earthbound? I've never played Earthbound, so I'm kind of a loss at that. Me, they would just be like, you human, leave, and I'd be like, okay. Sonic, I don't know, Steven would think it's really cool and want to pet him. Mega Man, I think Steven would want his gun. The Mario Brothers, they'd be like, your live-action movie sucked. And Dipper and Mabel, I don't know, it'd be kind of funny. What do you think the Homeworld gems, the gem Homeworld is like? I've always kind of imagined the gem Homeworld is like it's a living organic, like it's a living Death Star. It's kind of like the Death Star, where it's like a planet, well, it's the size of a planet, and can be used as a giant battle station. That's how I kind of imagine what the Homeworld will be like when we see it. I could be wrong, but I kind of imagine it think the Death Star, but not the size of a moon, but the size of a planet, and like a living battle station / world that the gems can just use as like a flagship and just move out of their little gravitational field and use it to conquer other planets. Yeah, kind of like Warworld in a way. Anyway. That's how I see it. Could be wrong, but that's just me. Next question. How would you write the next episode of the show? I think I would like to write an episode of maybe Steven hanging out with, trying to change the opinion on Peridot, Jasper, and Lapis. Well, Lapis he would, but yeah, mostly Peridot and Jasper, and trying to get him to join their side since they're now all kind of trapped on Earth. So, I would kind of say something like that. Like, yeah, Steven trying to rehabilitate the gems. Homeworld gems, that is. Anyway. So next question. Thank you for those questions, Tanuki Toad. Moving on now to Robert Avram, who asks, Steven meets Star and Marco from Star vs. the Forces of Evil. What will happen? Total madness. That actually makes a lot of sense of that group crossing over. It'd be a lot of fun, and maybe the gems know about the Star Butterfly's dimension or something like that, and maybe Ludo wants to use the power of the gems. I don't know. Alright, Garnet enters a arm wrestling contest against Lobo, Hercules from the Marvel Comics, Toph from Avatar. Could she win against all or just one? Maybe Toph, but Hercules and Lobo, I don't see it, sadly. Sorry, Garnet. Uh, Steven and the Crystal Gems meet Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and Darkwing Duck, Howard the Duck. How would Steven think and the Gems think of them? Well, I think they'd be freaked out by talking anthropomorphic ducks and make fun of a guy who runs around in his pajamas. And also, I don't think they would take Batman seriously because he's just a man. And Superman, they'd be like, oh, it's a Kryptonian, I thought they were all wiped out, Long ago, Gems knew about all these other alien races, but we knew about Krypton's destruction. We're surprised we saw you. Anyway, so think of those I think that was all your questions right there. Think of those questions, Robert. Moving on now to Sean Jones, who asks, do you think Steven will go back in time to see his mom? I think that could be an interesting episode of Steven going back in time just to see his mom, or getting a message from his mother from the past, like he did in Lion 3 straight to video. I think that could be something to see. Alright. But thank you for that question, Sean Jones. Ron Mystica 01, Ron's Mystica 01, hope I'm saying that right, asks, if you were a gem, what kind of weapon would you have? Maybe a fencing sword? Or a cutlass? Cutlasses are cool. Fuck yeah, I'd want a cutlass, or maybe a crossbow, or a halberd, or something badass. Something not like in the generic weapon stands. Something more along the lines of, little more unique weapons. Anyway. Alright, second question. Name 5 episodes that almost made you cry? Lion 3. Oh, that episode gets you. I can't remember the... Oh, yeah, On the Run. There's another one. The one where Steven first met Connie, I was like, oh, that's adorable. Rose's Scabbard's another one. And, the recent one with Pearl, with, the story of how Greg met Rose. So, there you go. Third question. Interaction with Steven Universe and Transformers Robots in Disguise. It would be a lot of fun, especially seeing Steven and that universe's Bumblebee interacting, because they both have this huge destiny in front of them. Also seeing this version of Grimlock and Garnet meet, or better yet, Amethyst, is like, I want to fight? Who's fighting? Anyway. Thank you for those questions, Rons. Moving on now to Major Badass, who asks, would you like to have another half-gem, half-human kid or teen show up in the show? There was an episode that was meant to be like a Halloween special where there was supposed to be there was the Halloween episode where where Steven goes to Ronaldo's lighthouse for a movie marathon and Lars and Sadie hang out with him. And they throughout the episode, I kind of thought to myself, when all this weird stuff was going on in the lighthouse, I was like, oh my, and all you see is Lars's earrings glow. I was like, oh my god, is Lars a half gem? So I was kind of thinking, oh, that'd be so cool, of Lars discovering he's a half gem. But I don't know, because maybe have it, what would be more interesting though? If you had the half gems, if you had maybe Peridot or some other gems on the Gem Homeworld are trying to create, they're trying to learn how to make a version of Steven, so they use human DNA and cross it with gem technology and try to make their own gem-human hybrids to make them into a new breed of warrior, because they see how powerful Steven is, and he's like, oh, he's just a kid. Imagine what we could do if we can make an army of these grown up. So maybe they're doing genetic testing with not Steven's DNA per se, but more like they're either creating their humans from human DNA they had thousands of years ago, they had stashed away on their homeworld, or they're kidnapping humans and implanting gem technology into them, hoping that will make them perfect warriors. So maybe something like that would be an interesting take on, rather than just see more half human, half gems. Something that kind of Steven just made, something that made Steven so unique. And I'm sorry for the background noise, by the way. I think that would be a more darker and more interesting way to take it, if you ask me. So, second question. Would you like to see Steven and the Gems fight non-enemy threats like non-gem enemy threats like mad scientists or monsters that just exist on Earth, or other alien races? Yeah, that would be cool. Show that this universe isn't just humans and gems. That would be something I've always wanted to see. Is that, with all these different universes, they always kind of stick to one note. With all these different TV shows, it's either like, oh, it's humans and gems and that's it, or humans and robots and that's it. Well, G1 had other aliens, so that doesn't count. And several other Transformers incarnated. I'm getting off topic. But yeah, I think it would be cool to show, like, maybe there's people out there who want to use the power of the gems, or there's other alien races that went to war with the gems and either fought them or won, something like that. Yeah. What other half-kids would you like Steven to meet? Maybe Gohan? Yeah, Gohan or Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. Those two. I think him and younger Gohan would be a lot of fun. Actually, no, Goten and Kid Trunks would be a lot of fun. Seeing those three hang out with Steven, that would be a lot of fun. And again, I'm sorry if the mic's picking that up. Alright. Just think of those questions, Major Badass. Moving on now to Robert Larson, who asks, favorite Lars moment. I think my favorite Lars moment is when he's, I think my favorite Lars moment is when he's like, he gets shot with that t-shirt cannon and he thinks it's Steven, and he's like, oh, it was Buck, oh, I love this t-shirt, it's very funny, he tries so hard, it's pathetic. Moving on. Second question. What do you think of the ship Lapidot? For those who don't know what Lapidot is, it's Lapis Lazuli and Peridot. I'm cool with it. I've seen it spring up like a wildfire after the two-parter, and it's good. I like it. I mean, I don't mind it. I personally like my personal ship with Peridot and Pearl, because those two, I think Peridot and Pearl, if Peridot was on their side, I think they'd get along a lot better, because it's all about the science. So I personally like Pearl and Peridot, but I can dig Lapis and Peridot together as well. Anyway, so thank you for that question. Next question: If you could kill off any character, who would it be and why? Let's see. What character would I kill off and why? I'd have to say maybe Lapis, and maybe have it that, or yeah, maybe Lapis saying that, she's sacrificing herself for this world she first hated and sacrificing herself for Steven. So maybe Lapis, like but first I would have her like she joins side with the other gems, helps them fight off the home world, and inevitably just ends up sacrificing herself. So maybe Lapis. Okay, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Omnitron12345, whose first question is: if Steven Universe existed in any comic book universe, which would you see it? I would have to say the DC Universe, yeah. I could definitely see the Gems, the Steven Universe in the world of the DC, continuity. The Gems being part of this alien race. I could see them, in this constantly getting into intergalactic wars with the Thanagarians, the Reach, so many other alien races out there. So, I would have to say DC Universe. Okay, second question. Do you think Steven can regenerate like the other gems do, and if so, would it be like their regeneration, or similar to the Time Lord regeneration since he's human and different? Well, they did say that, gems can't die, gems can't grow old, but Steven's half human. He can grow old and die. The thing is can he regenerate? He does have the gems, so can he retreat into it? I guess it's a question we'll just have to wait and see, because that's actually, that's actually something I thought about once. I was like, does that actually work? Can he actually do that? I don't know. I really don't know if he can do that. Anyway. Alright, and again, sorry for the background noise, that's just sounds I cannot control. All right, third question. Do you think do you think at some point gems were born naturally, but they started growing things like they started growing them since into the similar version of Man of Steel? Okay, he's basically asking, were gems born naturally or were they created? Again, we don't know exactly. I would like to think they were born naturally and then they were created because you can't. Well, then again, Cybertron was once Primus, and it gave life. It created the Well of Allsparks and created all life on Cybertron. So maybe it's like that. We don't know, but maybe it'll be something like that, like with Primus and Cybertron. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for those questions, Omnitron. Moving on now to the next set of questions. Okay, moving right along to Athavan Rajisham. Again, I completely am sorry if I butchered that name. And his first question is, which Steven Universe characters do you think wouldn't be capable of riding the Nimbus Cloud from Dragon Ball? I would have to say Pearl, and not because I don't think, the problem. I think the main thing is that she wouldn't want to ride the Nimbus Cloud. She'd be like, it's a cloud, you'll fall right through it. And yeah, whereas Steven and Amethyst would be the ones riding the Nimbus Clouds. Second question. What do you think a training session between Steven and Captain America would be like? I think Steven would be learning from Cap just a lot of morals of what it takes to be a hero, and maybe learning how, Steven wants to know how to throw the shield like Cap does. I think that would be probably what how the training session would more than likely probably go. And your third question is, considering how rose quartz and the gems have apparently been living on Earth for thousands of years, do you think in this universe humans will have found gem technology that was left over from the Gem War before humans, like let's say the Nazis, discovered a crystal beast or Allied forces reverse engineered gem technology? That's actually something I've thought about from time to time, believe it or not, because we see in one picture the rose quartz and the other gems have been on Earth since even longer than, because you see them fighting in the Revolutionary War, so they've been around for a long time. So have they stayed away from wars like World War II and Vietnam, and stayed away from big human conflicts, or have they output themselves because Rose wants to protect humanity and wants to put themselves in there? And has, because obviously I don't think, you see the Gem battlefield and you see the kindergarten, you have to imagine that some human must have found it, so I'm surprised no one's touched, at least to my knowledge, I haven't seen any fan fiction on this, so, yeah. I'm surprised that's like writing gold right there, because there's so much history that the gems have been around for a long time. I mean, even Pearl said that she saw mankind grow from being hunter-gatherers to, what they are now. So, yeah, where is that? Where is that exactly? But yeah, I think that would be really cool if, seeing maybe, in this universe, maybe Fat Man and Little Boy, Fat Boy and what was the other bomb name? Maybe it was filled with gem technology, or the Nazis found the kindergarten or something. That would be really cool to see a story touched on. Excuse me. Alright, thank you for that. Thank you for those questions, Athavan. Moving on now to Sean Full Dark, whose first question is your theory on what's going on with Steven and his mother, and why couldn't she still exist at all? Probably because she gave up her physical form to create Steven. They kind of explain it, and that's probably what it is that, she's not going to be around as long as Steven's around, and, if Steven dies, that's it, no more quartz. Alright, second question. What would Steven's reaction to meeting the main six? I think he would have the most fun with Pinkie Pie. Having the most fun with Pinkie Pie or Rainbow Dash. One of those two he'd probably be having the most fun with. Do you think we'll ever get to see the Gem homeworld? Yes, I think somewhere down the road. I don't think this season, but maybe in a later season we'll see the Gem homeworld. But I would be surprised if this season we got to see a glimpse of the Gem homeworld. At least a glimpse. So thank you for those questions, Sean Full Dark. Moving on now to Christian Sager, whose first question is, so what would Steven and the Gems think of Cyber 6? I think Lion and Cyber Six's Panther would have an epic team up. That's what I think. If I remember right, it's Cyber Six's brother that was turned into a panther. Could be wrong. I think that's what it was. Anyway, second question. Same as before, but for Alucard, Integra, and Alexander Anderson. I think they would all be terrified of those characters. I think they would just all be in total terror of those characters in general. Alright. Do you think that the creators of the show are willing to kill off big characters like Ruby, Sapphire, Lapis, or even Steven's dad to up the stakes and show that how much of a threat Yellow, White, and Blue Diamond really are? I think that would be a possibility. I wouldn't put it past them, but let's see if they can get that past the Cartoon Network censors of doing something like that. I think it's a possibility, and I think that would show that this is, once again, more than just a kid's show. So I think it's a possibility. But anyway, thank you for those questions, Christian Sager. Moving on to Ryan Pack, and I've already answered this question, Ryan, of what would my gem be? Maybe Onyx, and like I said, weapon, something like a scythe or, crossbow, something like that, but yeah, Onyx gem. Yeah, anyway. So, thank you for that question, and moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks, first question is, the Doctor stops in Beach City, meets Steven and Connie, and invites them on a trip through time and space. What might happen next? Steven would probably want to go see his mom. I think that would be one of the first things he does, like he wants to see Rose Quartz. And I think Connie would want to go somewhere like maybe ancient Rome, or somewhere where, or even meet Leonardo da Vinci. I think she would be a Leonardo da Vinci fan. So, and the Doctor said, "Oh, me and Leo were great friends." Second question. Steven and the Crystal Gems react to any of the following fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z. Man, you just threw out a bunch of characters, didn't you, Andrew? Alright. In following. The fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z, I think they would be like, our dance is better. Broly, I think they would look at him and go like, is that Jasper? I think it is. Finn and Jake, I think Steven would have a lot of fun with, especially Jake. The Straw Hat Pirates, Steven would want to just be a pirate. Samurai Jack, I think it would be cool to see him and Garnet have this whole way of, or Pearl, have this way of the warrior kind of talk. The Shaolin Monks would be plenty of fun. I don't know what kind of adventures they would have. The Lyoko Warriors. You see, this is the thing when I've talked about before how, when you guys throw out a bunch of characters and say, like, well, would it be like this, this, and this? I've talked about this before. Don't expect anything grand, spectacularly grand from me. Because, when I think of a crossover, I have to let it sit in my mind. I can't just shoot an idea right out of my head. So this is, like, the best I can do, right, with what I have right here. But anyway, Lyoko Warriors, I think Odd and Steven would get into a lot of shenanigans. Piccolo, Garnet and Piccolo would be cool to see them train together. The Teen Titans, Beast Boy and Steven hanging out along with Cyborg playing video games. Great Saiyaman, they'd all laugh at it, all at poor Gohan. The Powerpuff Girls, that would be just a fun crossover, and I know Powerpuff Girls is coming back next year, so yay. Ben 10, maybe Ben can get a gem as an alien, and meeting Tommy Oliver, the best ranger ever. It would be the best thing ever. Alright. Okay, third question. What might happen if Steven and Connie met Phineas and Isabella? Also, while that's going on, Lion, the Gems, and Perry team up against Doofenshmirtz and the Homeworld Gems, Lapis, Peridot, and Jasper. Well, I don't think Lapis is really evil, so I think it would just be Peridot and Jasper, who are more or less bullying Doofenshmirtz to build a weapon to destroy all mankind. I think Steven and Connie would have a lot of fun with just Phineas and Isabella, and just be like, I think Connie would ask, Isabella would ask Connie, so are you and Steven? Oh, we're just friends. Right, friends. We are, really? Nah, I get it. Yeah. That would be the main point. But I think that would be the main driving force. But anyway, so thank you for those questions, Andrew. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011. First question is, how would the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Splinter react and interact with Steven and the Crystal Gems, and vice versa and which Ninja Turtle villain could you see teaming up with Peridot and Jasper fighting the Gems, Turtle, and Splinter? I think in terms of gems, it would probably be Peridot or some other homeworld gem. But yeah, I've actually did a what would they think of one another of between the Gems and the Turtles a while back. I don't know if you saw that, Jason, but I think Mikey and Amethyst would be a lot of hanging out together. Pearl and Donatello would be hanging out together, and I think Garnet and Leo would have a lot of fun times together. Raph would just be like, I hate all of you. Yeah. So there you go. And what Ninja Turtle villain? Probably Krang. Yeah, probably if we're going by 80s, Krang. So definitely Krang. Like maybe have the Utrums. He tried to invade. Like they had a war with the Gems, but they lost, and now they're back, and now they now have Gem technology to fight against them. So maybe something like that, or they're manipulating Peridot. I don't know. Second question, if the Beast Wars had reached Beach City, which Maximals could you see hang out with Steve and Connie and the Crystal Gems while assisting them combating the Predacons? I think Cheetor and Steven. Connie would be hanging out with Air Razor. Rat Trap and Amethyst, Rhinox and Pearl, and Primal with Garnet. Those would be my pairs. And what would the Crystal Gems think of the Avengers, and how would they fare against Thanos? First off, I think Thanos would be a really cool Crystal Gem villain, and I think it would be I think in terms of I think they would look at the Avengers and be like, humans can do this? I didn't know humans could actually turn into giant green rage monsters. And is that a god? Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Stardust Phantom, who asks, what comics do you think Steven would read? Probably I've seen in his room. We've seen little pictures of his room. He reads manga. So manga. He looks more like a. He looks like a. He would be a mix of Marvel and DC, like a lot of us. So yeah, probably Marvel and DC. Definitely, yeah, some Marvel, DC right there. Maybe, I don't know. Image would be too old for him, and I don't think he would, understand a lot of the stories there. So I just say Marvel and DC. Maybe some Dynamite too. Second question: how would the Crystal Gems react to the Fantastic Four and vice versa? I think they would just be in awe of, again, superpowered human beings, and the amount of pranks Johnny and Amethyst would be pranking Pearl and Ben, oh, it would be hell. It'd be absolute hell. Alright, who is the best feline companion? Battle Cat or Lion? Ooh, good question. Battle Cat is this just giant tank of Eternian destruction, whereas Lion can run at super speeds, run on water, summon a sword, has a pocket dimension in his mane, can roar and create holes to other universes with his just roar, and he has a sonic roar too. Oh, damn it, it's tough. I want to say classic, but I hate to say it, I love Battle Cat, I really do, but I'm gonna give it to Lion. Yeah. Sorry, Battle Cat. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Stardust Phantom. Moving on now to Alex Inayez, who asks, what do you think about the whole Diamond Authority theory people came up with the Homeworld Gems? Well, I think the Diamond Authority is a real thing, because, Jasper mentioned Yellow Diamond, and people have been noticing all these other little diamonds, like a blue diamond, a yellow diamond, a white diamond. So maybe the diamonds are in charge of the Gem Homeworld, like they're the evil version of the Guardians of Oa. They're the rulers of the Gem Homeworld, and yeah. So yeah, I think this whole Diamond Authority is a real thing. I think it could be very much a real thing. Second question: if kaiju from the Godzilla universe ever existed in the Steven universe, how would you see it play out? Not good for the Gems. There's actually a story I've always wanted to write of the Gems fighting Godzilla, trying to keep him from Beach City, but then Steven comes up to Godzilla and just talks to him, and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Zilla, I know you like smashing stuff, and you're a long way from home, but these are my. This is where I live, and a lot of people make their residence too. Could you find somewhere else to smash?" And Godzilla would be like, "Okay, go back, go back in the water." Something fun, you know. So, thank you for that question. And third question, any favorite ships in the show you like? Like I said earlier in the video, I don't know if, like I said, I really like the ship of Pearl and Peridot, because again, if Peridot was a good guy, those two would probably, her and Pearl would probably be shacking up. Because they're, they both believe in logic, think first, think before action, and they're both very stoic. So yeah, Pearl and Peridot is one right there I like. I also like Garnet and Peridot. Garnet and Pearl. I like that one. Someone actually convinced me to, someone made a very good case for Garnet and Pearl, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna ship them now. And of course, Steven and Connie. That is an adorable little goddamn tugboat. It's a little tugboat of love. And also Ruby and Sapphire. That's also a really good one. I guess you can call that Garnet shipping. I guess we can call it that. But yeah. So that's what that's my thoughts on all. That's just a few parent. Also, I don't mind Pearl and Amethyst. I don't mind Pearl and Amethyst is another good one. So a lot of the general ships, more or less. Also, like a few stories with Jasper and Peridot. There's a few good ones on fanfiction that are just really nice. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Alex. Moving on now to Chasin41. I hope I just didn't butcher that name. I apologize. It's Chasin or Chasin41. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. So first question is, how would a story of Steven and Dipper meeting go? I think it would be a lot of fun of Steven showing off his gem to Dipper, and he'd be like, "How are you doing this? I'm half magic." God damn it. And this crossover would not be complete unless Dipper goes, "God damn it." Yeah. Who would win? Second question. Who would win, Garnet or Skips? Skips knows all, so maybe Skips. And which gem would a Predator go after first? Probably Garnet. Yeah, probably Garnet should seize the physically strongest of the gems, so probably a Predator would go hunting after Garnet first. So think of those questions. Moving on now to the Spawn117, who asks, what would happen if the Stevens and the Crystal Gems had evil counterparts of themselves? You mean like evil, like Earth 2 versions of themselves? Okay. I think it would be like... Well, I think evil Steven would probably... Reverse Steven would be a little more aggressive. He would be just a little more snarkier and a little more a lot more violent and willing to hurt people. And also kind of like gets off on hurting people. I think Reverse Garnet would just be still stoic, but just a little more psychotic. Pearl would be sadistic. I think Reverse Pearl would be a lot more sadistic and loves to cause pain. And Reverse Amethyst would be frickin' carnage. Only purple. So that's what I think. Alright, what would the Crystal Gems' reaction if they were meeting the Sailor Scouts, Deathwing, the Four Horsemen from Darksiders, and the Stormhawks? A lot of shenanigans. A lot of shenanigans would befall the gems in this little venture. Anyway. So what would happen if the Crystal Gems went up against World War Hulk and the Chaos Space Marines? Not good. Not good at all. Not good. Like Burnouter said to your question, they would all die. Alright, so thank you for those questions, Spawn117. Moving on now to the Gangster Shy Guy, who asks, how would Steven and the Crystal Gems react to the Daleks? I think, again, the Daleks would be a villain that the Gems encountered before, but now that the Time War caused the Daleks to be wiped out, well, the Daleks kind of brought themselves back from the brink of extinction, so I think I would have it that, the Gems are kind of, or one of the Daleks are some of the few Gems that the Daleks are very much afraid of. They're very scared to encounter. So maybe have it that they're just, when they find out more Daleks are coming, oh, we gotta run. Second question, if Hydra was an enemy to the Crystal Gems, how would you incorporate them in this series as a fanfiction series? Maybe have it that there's a new family in town, but it turns out they're a Hydra agents that are trying to harness the power of the gems or get inside the temple, and they befriend Steve. They have a kid who's also like a young Hydra agent, and he befriends Steven, and just kind of go from there, I guess. Third question. If Steven was injected by Scarecrow's fear gas, what would Steven's fear be? I think his biggest fear would be like that the gems don't want him around anymore. I think that would be the biggest fear he would have, is that if the gems just did not want him around anymore, and just like he could just imagine them telling him to leave. We don't want you. You're the reason Rose is gone. We hate you. Things like that. So think of those questions, Gangster Shy Guy. Moving on now to Mr. Noah the Joker. And this person asks, Mr. Noah the Joker asks this: if the gems met Battle Force 5, who would hang out with who? I think Agora Spinner would hang out with, I can't believe I remember Battle Force 5. Oh my god, it's been forever. I think she would, Spinner would hang out with, Amethyst, and that's the only ones I can see. Maybe Vert hanging out with Garnet, possibly. But those are the ones I can think of right off the bat. Anyway, second question. In a fight, who would win, Garnet or Opal? Well, they're both fusions, and they're both pretty powerful, but Opal has the, larger size, but Garnet has more experience, so I don't know. I really don't know. Now that and your third question is, now that we know that Garnet is a fusion of two lovers, could we still ship her with Pearl? Good question. That is a good question right there, Noah. That is a very good question. You see, it does make, people are starting to think, well, Garnet is a fusion of two Pearls that are clearly in love, why put her with somebody else? I mean, she's already, a working relationship as it is. But Garnet has said that, she's more than just, fusions are just more than two people or more than one person. They're an experience. So, And Garnet has her own personality, so this is a really freaking hard question to answer here. This is really it's really wrecking my brain here. So I think it's still okay. Because we don't really know how gem relationships work. It may not, gem relationships, if they ever touch on this, they may, gem relationships may not work in the same sense as, relationships on Earth are viewed at. For all we know, they could have, multiple partners, or one partner, or no partners at all. That's kind of it's an interesting thought right there. They could, if they ever decide to touch on, how gems view relationships, that'll be something, maybe something like that. Sorry for the background noise. But yeah, that would be something to investigate now, wouldn't it? But anyway, thank you for those questions, Noah. Moving on now to the next set of questions. Alright, next question comes from Aaron Izzard, who asks, if you were to in charge of production of the third series or comic series, what would you like to explore within the universe of the series? Okay. I think, again, talk about, explore what the gems were doing in the past, long before Rose met Greg, something like that, and maybe do some world building on, what are the gem homeworld, what are the gem-controlled worlds like, the other alien, have they enslaved other races, what's the hierarchy, stuff like that. Second that question, Aaron. Moving on now to Travis Rendon, who asks, which one of the crystal gems do you see as a better surrogate mother to Steven? Well, Steven said that they all have mother-like qualities to all of... They all have, very mother-like qualities, all of them. But I think the one who's, the best one to work as a mother is Garnet, really. I mean, Pearl can sometimes let her, her gem superiority get the better of her, and Pearl's my favorite character, keep that in mind. But I have to say, Garnet would be the one that's the most motherly to him, and it's probably because both Ruby and Sapphire love him so much. And you see why I'm saying, and the reason why I'm saying Garnet over Pearl, even though Pearl is very, protective of him and wants to do right and wrong, she still, like I said, still lets that gem superiority kind of get in the way and her own arrogance get in the way. And the reason I'm saying Garnet, because she's the most supportive of Steven. She always says that, this power lies within you, you're Crystal Gem too, I should take your word seriously. She doesn't talk down to Steven, and yet she still has fun with him. So, I would have to say, even though they all have mother-like qualities, and Steven has mentioned this before, I would have to say Garnet is the one. Anyway, second question. How do you think the gems will react if Steven tells them what he thinks about how they might secretly hate him or blame him for Rose's death? I think that might be an episode we'll see in the near future, because he has brought up, I think the gems sometimes blame me for Rose's death, and, so I think that's going to be a topic that we're going to see in this future. It's not if, it's when. That's the big question. It may be, and I'm thinking it may be sometime this season, because they've really touched on Rose's, Rose not being here a lot recently, so that's what I'm thinking, is that it's not if, it's when they bring this up. And I think this will be a very interesting episode to see nonetheless. And third question, what would be Broly's reaction to Jasper, since you said she was a gender-bent version of him? If you guys remember when I first talked about seeing Jasper for the first time in the two-part season finale, I kind of talked about how she reminded me of a gender-bent Broly. But now that I think about it, she's actually more like a gender-bent Raditz. This big, arrogant, believes more in her power than her own thought process. But, I think Broly would look at her and be like, "You're supposed to be like me?" Dumb bitch. Yeah. So thinking of those questions, Travis, moving on now to Sora versus Ka, who asks, what do you think of a Mighty Max and Steven Universe crossover? That'd be a lot of fun. That would be just a one big awesome romp through different realities, and seeing them, Skullmaster would be a great villain for the gems. I think that, and Warmonger too. That'd be great. Alright, what would Steven and the Crystal Gems think of G4 Tyrek, Blackfire Skullmaster, Darkseid, King Ghidorah, the Master, Myotismon, and Transformers Prime Megatron? I think you just listed off a new rogues gallery for the gems there, Sora. I think you just listed off one giant rogues gallery. Alright, the Crystal Gems versus Maleficent, Ursula, Jafar, Hades, and Dr. Facilier. Or Falsher, or whatever. I think the gems would overcome them, because I think the Disney villains will all be turning on one another during the fight. So I'm going to say the gems. Anyway, think of those questions. Sora versus Ka. Moving on now to Zack the Thunder King, whose first question is, favorite gem-focused episode of Steven Universe? Favorite gem-focused would have to be the two-part season finale of Season 1, and I also really liked the episode where we got to see Sugalite, and the whole story that enthralled with that. Anyway, second question. Favorite slice of life episode from Steven Universe? I would have to say when Steven met Connie. That was a nice little... Even though it was an adventure story, it was very sweet, and it was very slice of life-ish. So, think of that question. And your final question is, what would you like more of in Steven Universe? Like a gem war, or the reason why Garnet is a fusion? Would I want to see either why Garnet is the story of Ruby and Sapphire, or the Gem War? I'd really like to see a flashback of the final days of the Gem War, and what exactly Rose did to end the Gem War, and why it took a toll on her. And yeah, I know people say, well, there was a war, people died. Well, how Greg spun it was, she said if she only was able to save a few of her friends with her shield. It was kind of like, did she unleash something? Because she said if it weren't for her shield, I don't know. So I'm wondering, did Rose unleash this super weapon the moment during the Time War to vanquish the other homeworld gems, and it was only managed to save a handful of her friends? That's what I want to see. As much as I want to know the story of like Ruby and Sapphire becoming Garnet and staying as Garnet, um, really curious to see how that's gonna go. I think I would like to see the Gem War more. All right, moving on now to Electric 1995. Thank you for those questions, by the way, Zach. The Steven and Uncle Grandpa crossover brought up a question that got me thinking. Who else do you think would be a great mentor for Steven, such as Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z or Sensei Wu from Ninjago? I would say, like, in terms of teachers, like, who would be a nice little, who would be a great teacher for Steven and mentor him? I think Piccolo would be a nice teacher. Who else would be a great teacher for Steven? Maybe Usagi Yojimbo? That'd be another one. Or Master Roshi? That'd be another one. So maybe those guys. So think of those questions, Electric. Moving on now to Nicholas Harley, whose question is, if you were to make a kiss scene between Steven and Connie, what would happen and where would it be and how would it go? What would the dialogue be? I think it would be like something like Steven finally confesses, how that he really does like Connie. He really does like her more than just a friend. And I think it would be something that Connie's been like, she's nervous about because she's never really thought, I wouldn't say like she hasn't thought about Steven that way, because she has at times, but she's so freaking nervous of, losing the only person she has as a friend, and then boom, kiss. And they accidentally fuse into Stevani again. Because, yeah, fusion looks like it's a form of love in the Gem world. Remember when Garnet was so excited that Stevani, that Steven and Connie created Stevani? So, that would be something. That's how I would imagine it. Alright. Second question. If you were to make a series finale of Steven Universe, what would it happen? I think what I'd like to do is maybe the gems actually, since I've got the thought of that the Gem homeworld's like a giant battle station, maybe have it that the Gem homeworlds move to Earth, because they're dead set on conquering or destroying Earth at this point, and Steven just, leads, he, Garnet, and Pearl, and Amethyst, and maybe even, if they could switch sides, I would have it that, Lapis, Jasper, and Peridot would be on their side, too, and everyone in Beach City, like, it's not just those 7, like, everyone in Beach City suddenly rallies behind Steven with just regular stuff, and they all infiltrate the Gem homeworld and just wreck it. The Diamond Authority is crushed, the Gem homeworld is shot back to its original place in space, the gems lose control over other planets, and Steven's finally treated as a hero. That's what I would do. Third question: what's your favorite episode, song, and/or fight from Steven Universe? What's my favorite episode? I don't really have. There's a lot of episodes that I like. There's just too many to count. Favorite song? I really like Pearl's song from the Sugalite episode. And fight scene: Pearl and Amethyst fight in On the Run. That was a really well choreographed fight scene between Pearl and Amethyst. And also for second place, Garnet and Jasper's fight in the season finale. Next set of questions come from BooRat1. Top 10 favorite episodes or characters, no particular order needed. God damn it. I can't think of, because there's so many episodes that I love and characters that I really love, so I can't really place one. And it's almost 11 at night, so you'll have to excuse me if my mind's a little fucking messed up. Ugh. Sorry, I've had a long day, and I'm trying to get through this Q&A the best I can. Yeah. So, sorry. I just can't think of anything right off, 10 right off my top of my head for characters or episodes. Alright, any gemstone types you would like to see made into a character? The showrunners do use gemology to create characters, how their personalities will be, and their weapons, etc. I think like it would be cool to see, you know, like a pyrite gem, and see like this huge, like how lapis is a water based gem. Pyrite's this huge this fire type gem, and she can she doesn't need to create weapons. She can just summon fire. Like she's just one badass firebender, and just have Grey Delisle voice her, for obvious reasons. It's not like she's been a fire type character. Oh wait, she has. And your third question is fuck, marry, kill. We ain't done this in a while. Jasper, Malachite, and Stevani. Not kill Stevani, just be friends with her. Maybe Malachite. That'd be a weird story to beat everyone else's, and marry Jasper for the hell of it. Alright, thank you for those questions, Boo Rat. Moving on now to Grimlock 1992, and this is kind of a 2-in-1. Oh, what if Godzilla and his fellow monsters were gems, and what would they be on? Where would the gems be on their bodies, or the gems sort of guardians? What would they be? I think with Godzilla, his gem would be in his on the center of his chest. Mothra's would be the center of her head. Anguirus would be under his belly. I can't think of where all the gems would be. Yeah, so can't really think of where all the gems would be on the kaijus. But guardian monsters, I could see Steven and Rose bonding with Biollante. That would make a lot of sense. Second question: what would happen if the crystal gems met Shockwave from TF Prime? I think the better question is, what would Peridot be like if she met Shockwave? Those two would be evil scientists together. But yeah, Shockwave would spell doom for the gems. And what do you think do you think Smog would take Steven and the gems for his horde? Oh, he'd try, but he would probably get his ass beat. Alright, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to ActionFan19, who asks, what do you think of the Garnet and Pearl's fusion would be called? I don't know, maybe Onyx or Pyrite, something. It would be something badass. We're still waiting for Garnet and Pearl's fusion. It better be worth the goddamn payoff. Okay. Second question. How bad would it be if the gems of Homeworld gave sentient life to the Infinity Gems? As Major Badass put it when he answered the question, some OP bullshit. Yeah, could you imagine the Infinity Gems as actual living... Well, actually, no. I think in one Marvel story they became living... I think they actually became living beings. So, yeah. I mean, the Time Gem manipulating all of time, the Mind Gem mind-controlling everyone, the Power Gem beating the shit out of everybody. It'd be a scary thought. Alright, and your third question is, since Lapis Lazuli can control water... could we see other elemental gems? Like I said, Pyrite would be really cool to see as a fire-type gem. And, I don't know, Turquoise is the earth gem. I don't know who would be an air-type gem, though. Yeah, I don't know who would be a... which gem could you consider to be an air-type gem? But yeah, Turquoise would be... I would make Turquoise earth and Pyrite fire. So, thank you for those questions, Action Fan. Moving now to Jake Gross, who... Alright, Jake Gross, excuse me. Do you think... Jake Gross's first question is, do you think Peridot could be redeemed and become a member of the Crystal Gems, and what would her relationship be with the others? Well, how I would write is that Pearl and Peridot would be getting together because fucking science! Yeah, they would be doing all kind... Not to sound dirty, really, seriously not. They would be just having science... they would just be doing a lot of science stuff. Peridot would also not want to hang out with Amethyst. She'd be like, you're uncouth, you're disgusting, and you're annoying. Get away from me. And Garnet, I think her and Garnet would put up a lot of plans together on how to repair the ship, or, make the temple larger or something like that. So that's what I think. But her and Pearl would get along the most, if not romantically, friendly wise. Anyway, second question. Also, I would like to see Peridot become redeemed. Jake, second question. Do you think a human antagonist could work as Steven in Steven Universe? Maybe some sort of intense xenophobe. I think that's what they're trying to build Ronaldo to be. Is that Ronaldo doesn't trust he has these huge alien conspiracies, and he already had the thing about the Diamond Authority, so I think they're trying to build Ronaldo to be like their human antagonist, but not really as a big threat, but more like he's like their J. Jonah Jameson. Something like that. That's what I think they're building Ronaldo to be. Alright, and your third question is, do you think that the Crystal Gems might not have liked Steven at first, and do you think they warmed... Yeah, I think they might have hated him as a kid and didn't know how to raise him, and plus, he's the reason Rose is gone, but they just kind of got over it and raised him. That's what I think. Alright, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Overnerd3, who asks, do you hope to see more Ruby and Sapphire and more episodes focus on their past and how they ended up together? I really want to see an episode of how Ruby and Sapphire got to, how they met and fused and decided to stay as Garnet. But, knowing Cartoon Network censors, they won't allow that because, it's a woman and woman caring for each other. We can't have that. We can't have same-sex. We can't have same-sex relationships. Alright, second question. Steven fusing with Garnet or the other gems, how do you picture those fusions? Well, it's kind of mentioned that they can't fuse because Steven's half-human, biology prevents him from fusing with the other gems. But he can fuse with other humans, so I can only imagine his fusion with Lars or, call him Stars. Ugh. Or fuse with Sadie, or fuse with his dad. So it looks like he can fuse with humans more than gems. And do you hope for third question? Do you hope for another season? Well, they already announced they're doing a third season. Yay! They're doing they're doing a third season. I really hope they do a fourth season and beyond. Really hope so. Okay. Thank you for those questions, Overnerd. Moving on now to Delta. First question is, what are your thoughts on the perfect fusion theory going on with Garnet? I never heard of that theory before, but I do like the idea of, Garnet being a fusion made out of Ruby and Sapphire's love. Really do like that, so I'm cool with it. Alright, I already answered this one, the whole human villain thing with Delta, and your third question is, do you think we'll see the true form of the gem stuck in Lion's Mane's dimension? Could it be one of the diamonds? I don't think it's one of the diamonds. I think it could be another gem that is an ally that has just been repairing himself, and Rose has just been hiding this gem inside of Lion for safekeeping. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, moving on now. Thank you for those questions, Delta. Moving on now to Bryce Diaz, who asks, could you see a Lapis Steven ship, and what other ships could you see? I already talked about my ships, and I have the Lapis Steven ship. It's good, but I've only seen one story. It's not really popular, and I'm more Steven and Connie, if anything else. But I can roll with Lapis and Steven. Second question: will you ever post your old Steven Universe reviews again? No. I may do one big Steven Universe review, bulk review for all the past episodes, but I don't think I'll ever upload those again. Because I'm lazy like that. Sorry, Bryce. Your third question is, would you like to see Ruby and Sapphire again, and how would you do it? I think I would do something hilarious of having Ruby and Sapphire show up again, like Ruby and Sapphire having an argument in Garnet's head, and then they just split. Yeah, they just separate from themselves. Like, you just find the start of the episode, I would make it that Steven finds Garnet arguing with herself, and then suddenly, Ruby and Sapphire split apart Garnet, and they're having an argument, a lover's quarrel, and the whole episode would be Steven trying to convince Ruby and Sapphire to come back together as Garnet and show that they still care for one another. You'd have to imagine, being together that long for thousands of years, they probably got into some fights now and again, and this is how they argue. Anyway. Alright, next singular questions. Moving on now to Burnouter 7, and Okay, first question. What do you think Spider-Man's jokes would work on the Crystal Gems, Lapis, Peridot, and Lapis, Jasper, and Peridot and the Crystal Gems if they fought? I think that I think Peter's humor would be lost on them, sadly. All right, so Hulk versus Lapis, Peridot, and Jasper. How would it go down, and how do you think? Do you think they would stand a chance if Lapis and Jasper fused? Still probably not. This is Hulk we're talking about, the engine of destruction. Probably wouldn't go well. I thought of a Spider-Man Pearl pairing. Could it work? Maybe. Yeah, maybe, but you know the old Parker luck with women, so not lasting long, I can say that much. Okay. Okay, moving on now. Thank you for those questions, Burnouter. Moving on now to Son of the Dragon, whose first question is, how will the Gems and Steven react to these 5 groups of characters? Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Melina, Okay, the Mortal Kombat characters, they would probably fight to the death. The Avengers, Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, and Captain America, they'd get along. Goku and Vegeta and their fusions, along with Breezes, yeah, they would get annihilated by Breezes, unfortunately. My Little Pony, Equestria Girls characters, I'd like to see, again, Pinky and Steven hanging out. That would be a lot of fun. Gurren Lagann and Kill La Kill, they would be completely wondering what the fuck's going on, and Pearl would be like, why does she have to dress like that? So that's me going through a rundown real quick. Second question, do you think we'll see a male gem? I think it's possible, like, maybe that you could say that maybe they'll have that maybe there is a male gem, but male gems are like the flukes in the gem creation process because they've always been female. Or maybe the Diamond Authority's male and have this very... I know that sounds really sexist, but you never know. But yeah, I think what would be better off, and this is my opinion, I think it would be better off if if male gems were like considered flukes in the gem creation process. They're considered abominations if they're male. So, that's what I would do. Anyway. Okay. Thank you for those questions, Dragon. Moving on now to W. Simmons, who asks, what would the Gems think of Silver, Shadow, Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Big, and Blaze? I think Big would... Steven would just be jumping on Big's belly all the time, and that would be like a trampoline for him. Knuckles and... Yeah, Tails and Pearl would be building stuff. Knuckles would be hanging out with Amethyst, and Shadow and Garnet would just be like, whatever. Alright, second question. What would Steven think of Zatch Bell and his friends? I think he would have a lot of fun. I can't remember a lot of Zatch Bell, but I think he would have a lot of fun. Third question. What would Marble think of HK-47 and T3 M&M? The Marble... I guess you're talking about Marble from the Marble droids? They're droids. Or is there an actual gem that's called Marble? I don't know. But I think it would be a cool interaction nonetheless. Thank you for those questions, W. Simmons. Moving on now to Jackie Lee, whose first question is, do you think there should be more male gem characters? I already answered this one, Jackie. Which villains from other franchises... So I'm going to skip the male gems, because I talked about that already. Which villains from other franchises could work in Steven Universe? What other villains could work? Frieza would be a cool villain. Thanos. A lot of cosmic villains. Kagato from Tenchi Muyo. Few villains like that. A lot of cosmic-based villains. And I even, like I said in one video, Brainiac. So there you go. Okay, third question. Which other girls in the crossover do you think Steven should be paired with if he never met Connie? I know a lot of people ship Steven with Mabel from Gravity Falls, and that actually would make a lot of sense. They're both very hyper, both very caring, and they see the good in people regardless, so Steven and Mabel would probably be the one. Anyway, I know you put 3 other questions, like up to 6 questions, but my rule was only 3 questions per person, so I'm gonna stop there. I'm sorry, but those are my rules, and I have to go with those rules because I set them up. But thank you for those questions, regardless, Jackie. Moving on now to John Kelly, who asks, favorite crossover idea in this Q&A so far? I guess the Ninja Turtles one was pretty good by Jason. So there's my answer. A rebuilt Saiyan army versus the Gem homeworld. Who wins? Well, they're Saiyans, but the Gems have also shown to be pretty powerful. So I think it would be a long and bloody war, John. That's what I think. It might be a long and bloody war. Do you think there are more good gems on Homeworld and Earth? Well, all the other gems on Earth have become monsters, and all the Homeworld gems, even Lapis said she's terrified of, so who knows? Okay. Moving right along now to Kobe Romy. I hope I'm saying that last name right. And he asks, what would the main characters of Steven Universe think of if they met Invader Zim? I think Zim would be like, I am Zim, fear me, foolish gems. And they preferred to pummel his ass into the ground. Sad but true. Sad but true. Okay, Jack, thank you for that question, Kobe. Moving on now to Jack Gatt, who asks, would you like to see a crossover between Steven Universe and Teen Titans, the original show, not Go? Yes, I think that would be a lot of fun. I don't know what they do, but it would be fun. And second question is just, it's not it's just asking for a Ninja Turtles Q&A. I did one. I actually did a Ninja Turtles Q&A a while ago, actually almost a year ago. Yeah, actually several months ago, several months ago. And I don't know when I'll do another one. Maybe when the new episodes come in on Nickelodeon, and maybe they'll give me a kick into doing more Ninja Turtles Q&A. Yeah. All right, next question. And this question comes from Dungeon Master 8. Oh yeah, thank you for those questions, Jack. Moving on to Dungeon Master 876, who asks, can you see yourself falling in love with any of the gems? If so, which one? I don't really attach myself to animated characters like that. So, no. Can you see Jasper and Peridot eventually turning good and fighting against the Homeworld? Yeah, I think it would be a possibility. Like I said, one of the episodes I'd like to see is maybe see Steven try to convince Jasper and Peridot, because I think Lapis would already be on their side, so Jasper and Peridot to join forces with them. Third question, who would win in a fight, Marceline or Jasper? Marceline or Jasper? It's a good, interesting question. I would have to say Marceline. Well, Marceline until the sun comes up. Then it's Jasper all day. Anyway, thank you for those questions. Thank you for those questions, Dungeon. Moving on now to Fire Tools, who asks, what do you think of a crossover between Steven Universe and the Ninja Turtles 2003 series with Jackie Chan Adventures? That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun seeing all those universes come together for some cosmic adventure. Alright, how would the Gems react to Billy and Mandy and Panty and Stocking? Billy and Steven would have loads of fun, and Panty and Stocking, I think the Gems would be like, Steven, please don't look at that when they're changing. Oh, I want to see them. Don't look, Steven. And the whole human villain thing I've already answered, but thank you for those first two questions, Fire Tools. Next question comes from Adam Hadel, who asks, what do you think of Lapis Lazuli? I think she's a good character, and I really want to see her come back and hopefully join the side of the Gems. Really hoping for that. What is your favorite song from the show? Already answered this. It was the Sugalite song, but Stronger Than You is also really good. And if you could guess, what do you think and believe would happen to the next Gem? What would you think or believe would be the next Gem character? Fusion. Okay, I'd like to see Pyrite. I would like to see a fire gem just come down like a comet, just start using its fire-bending abilities and fight the gems make it like the Sith Inquisitor of the Steven universe. Okay, moving on. But thank you for those questions, Adam. Moving on now to next set of questions. Alright. Moving on now to Wolfman the Impaler, who asks, Steven, Mabel, Ed from Ed, Ed and Eddie, Uncle Grandpa, Pinkie Pie, Abridged Nappa, Gurr, Deadpool, Goldar, Rito Repulso, and Freakazoid throw a party at Five Nights at Freddy's and discovers a Nomicon. What happens? the weirdest fan fiction but yet most awesome fan fiction I've ever read in my entire freaking lifetime is what happens. Second question: what would Steven and Goku think of one another? I think they would just be like, "Hey, we want to sit around and eat pizza." Awesome! I think that would be literally what would happen. Third question: Onion meets Mr. Popo. What happens? Hi. Just gonna leave it at that. But thank you for those questions, Wolfman. Moving on now to Matt Kaiser08, who asks, which 5 Pokemon would each gem, along with Steven, Connie, and Greg partner with? I think with... I'm not going to go by 5 types, 5 Pokemon each, but maybe types of Pokemon I could see them. Garnet would have fighting types. Pearl would probably have psychic types, and Connie would probably maybe machine types. Greg would probably have a lot of musical themed Pokemon. Steven would have like just a menagerie of different creatures, and Amethyst would maybe have maybe rock types. I don't know. She looks like a rock person. So there you go. It would take too long to name off every Pokemon they would have, though. So we'll just lump it all together. Second question. If the gems and Steven and Connie were on Monster Island, which of the Earth Defenders would they get along with best? Probably Godzilla himself. Yeah, probably the big G-Man himself. And maybe Anguirus and Rodan as well. And Mothra. Yeah, the gems more interacted with Mothra the most. Third question. Would the gems stand a chance against Predator, Zeram, and a pair of V-Rexes? Predator and the V-Rexes, yes. Zeram, gonna say maybe on that. Same with those questions, Matt. Moving on now to Nobodies, whose first question is, if Steven and the gems were to end up in an Adventure Time universe with Finn, Jake, and all their friends, which character friendships would work out the best? Amethyst and Marceline, and Pearl and Bubblegum I could see forming friendships. And Steven and Finn, of course. Yeah. Alright. If you could write a 3-way crossover between Adventure Time, Regular Show, and Steven Universe, who would be the villain? Magic Man. Yeah, Magic Man would probably be powerful enough to put them all together. Yeah, to put the 3-way crossover together. So, definitely Magic Man. Same with those questions, Nobodies. Moving on now to Andre Partridge, who asks, favorite fusion gem so far, and why? I'm going to have to say Sugalite, because she's this giant powerhouse of destruction. And, yeah, I would love nothing more than to see her fight a Combinder from one of the Transformers, whether it be Bruticus or Devastator. And even Menasor. Second question. What do you imagine the gem homeworld to be like? Like I said, giant battle station-like planet. Third question, who is your favorite human-based character in the show? I like all the humans, I really do. I really like all the human characters have a lot of stuff going for them, a lot of great character development. Ronaldo gets on my nerves sometimes, but, maybe I'll like him more when he comes back, now that they've kind of realized, he's getting kind of annoying, we should put him in the background a bit. Sorry, I had to get some water. Taking those questions, Andre, moving on now to Dylan Malone 14, who asks, what will happen if the gems and Steven encounter Blackheart, and what will he do to them? Probably screw with them to no end, and probably try to steal their powers, or even Steven's case, soul. Alright, who do you think is the most dangerous gem so far, and why? I would have to say most dangerous gem would be Garnet, because she's the physically strongest and has the coolest head out of everyone else. So maybe so I'd have to say Garnet so far until we see, what this Diamond Authority is capable of. Alright, what do you think will happen if Steven somehow met his mother, and what do you think she will tell him? I think she would be proud. She would say she's proud of him and, take care of the other gems, That's what she told him in the past. That's what she would tell him if he ever met her again. So thank you for those questions, Dylan. Moving on now to Darth Venom, who asks, favorite moments in the show? When Peridot, Lapis, and Jasper came down to Earth. The introduction of the kindergarten. when, you know, the reveal of Garnet being a fusion. There's so many. There's so many Venom. Alright, what would the Crystal Gems think of Wonder Woman and Miss Marvel? I think they would be buddy right off the bat. I think it would be a lot of fun to see those characters interact. Okay, if Aquaman, Optimus Prime, the X-Men, Power Rangers, Justice League, Luke Skywalker, SpongeBob, Patrick, Naruto, Goku, John Constantine, Finn, and Jake went to Beach City, what happens? Once again, the most epic crossover in all of history happens. Anyway, think of those questions. Darth Venom. Another question from Kobe Romy, who asks, how would you write a kaiju villain in Steven Universe? I think I would make a kaiju, if I was to make a kaiju villain, make him something like Ghidorah was in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Just make this monster that's going from planet to planet, ravaging worlds. Simple as that. Okay. Eric, so think of that question, and your other question is, who would win, Pearl or Katara? Katara is a very powerful waterbender, but Pearl is this super strong, you know, master tactician gem. I mean, they would have an epic fight, but I think I'm going to give it to Pearl. She has a lot more experience in weaponry at her disposal. Alright, Eric Martin asks, how would the Crystal Gems react to Ben 10, and how would Ben 10, Kim Possible, Randy Cunningham, Steven Universe work as a team, and how would Steven Universe and Gravity Falls crossover work? Okay, the gems, meaning Ben, I think it would be like the Omnitrix, you know, that weapon shouldn't belong to some kid and try to take it from him. Wouldn't go well. And Ben, Kim, and Randy and Steven making like an Avengers-like team would be completely awesome. They would be like the Teen Titans team times 2. And Steven Universe and Gravity Falls crossover, maybe have that Bill tries to manipulate Steven into working for him and it doesn't go well? I don't know. So think of those questions, Eric Martin. Moving on now to Geodude D. Luffy, who asks, how would you feel if the cast of Steven Universe were in Five Nights at Freddy's Pizza Parlor, and they stayed locked in? Who should the Crystal Gems or villain, be up against in Five Nights at Freddy's? Here's the thing, the Five Nights at Freddy's, they're just robots. They're just robots. Steven and the others can, you know, fight giant monsters and shit. I think like Garnet would be like when she sees Freddy Fazbear and the other animatronics like come at them, they would be like, we're not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with us. And Freddy would be like, fuck, get out, get out, get out. So that would be probably the what would happen, more or less. Yeah, so next morning, you would see all, like, the smash pieces of the animatronics and Garnet and the other gems, like, I don't know why everyone's scared of them. They were just robots. And Garnet and Amethyst would walk out and was like, they stuffed me in a suit. Yeah. Anyway, so that was all the questions. Once again, I want to thank everyone for all of it, for all the questions they sent in. And sorry I kind of rushed through it towards the end. It's really late here. It's almost midnight as of this recording, as I'm doing this, and I was really tired to begin with. So I apologize for that. I won't. This is what I get for putting off these Q&As for a while. Sorry. So I apologize for that, and I also apologize if someone sent a question that I didn't answer. That doesn't mean I skipped over it. That usually means that YouTube was, like I said earlier in the video, YouTube was probably more than likely being a dick and decided to either mark it as spam or not have it show up on the list at all. So once again, I apologize for that as well. Once again, I want to thank everyone for sending in questions, and I hope you all enjoyed this rather long Q&A, and I will see you guys later.